We've received a ton of new Red Dead Redemption 2 info over the last couple of hours, and in this video I will be breaking down just the story and the mission details, but over the next couple of days I will be breaking down all of the other info, such as the world details, how immersive Rockstar want this game to be, the hunting details, the gang details, and other character details. So if you want to know everything that's coming in Red Dead Redemption 2, then make sure you subscribe to my channel and check those videos out. Now today, like I mentioned, we are going to be talking about the story and the mission, at least what we know so far. So stuff like, who is Arthur Morgan? What sort of choices will we get when we do these missions? And I'll talk about how our player actions actually affect the entire game. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is technically a standalone game. They say you don't need to have played Red Dead Redemption, the original, to understand the story. However, I would highly recommend it, one, because it's so good, but also two, I feel like if you play Red Dead Redemption, you will understand some of these characters a little bit better. They do say that this is Arthur's story though, and Arthur is the only playable character, so it's not like GTA 5, you're only going to get one character. They said, yeah, we thought about it and we decided that there would be no switch in the game. This is the story of Arthur Morgan, and the player will stay with Arthur during his adventure, which is a strong character. We like the switch system in GTA 5 and we had a lot of fun with it, so maybe we'll do it in another game, but in Red Dead 2, you are this man and you will share his adventure. They also mentioned that Arthur is in his 30s, so he does look a little older, but he is actually in his 30s. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2 chronicles the fall and fracture of Dutch's gang. And some backstory for Arthur and Dutch's gang. Arthur was actually brought under Dutch's wing from a young age, making him one of the few that Dutch trusts. And throughout this game, Arthur is having an existential crisis. The two premises with which the adventure begins are one, on one hand, you have the sense of defeat and the perception of the end, and then on the other hand, the willingness to hold on, start again, and to return fighting because that is his nature. And they did say that players may actually find Arthur disagreeable at first, but will get to understand him and his motives. And describing Arthur, they say he's a rough man, but his actions speak louder than words, and he has a moral code. Suffering is unnecessary if it can be avoided. Now in Red Dead Redemption 2, they focus heavily on player choice for both the story and the missions. They said, we try to give you options within a lot of these missions to choose how you approach it, whether you'll send your buddies in first or whether you'll go in first. Now you also have a ton of player choices when you're dealing or interacting with the gang. So Arthur is the gang's chief enforcer and Dutch's right-hand man. He is made of muscle and provides the camp with food and supplies. Now you actually have a choice here if you want to supply the gang with food and supplies. If you do, this increases the gang's spirits, which can lead to certain jobs and certain missions. If you don't, the members get angry and start muttering about Arthur. Now sometimes the gang members will have an argument between each other and they'll start fighting, and that's where Arthur steps in and he acts as a mediator between the two. And just by talking and interacting with these gang members, you can earn jobs and mission invites. Now they did say it is unknown yet if these choices will affect the main story, but they will affect the gameplay. And some scenes will actually change depending on how much Arthur helps the gang or doesn't help them. In Red Dead Redemption 2, it doesn't look like we actually get to own a home or something along those lines. They mentioned that the gang camp is actually a permanent retreat and serves as the player's home base. And I'll touch more about that in a second, but throughout the story, you will actually meet new people and recruit them to join the gang. But they did specify that players cannot actually go out in the world freely and recruit. You actually just do this throughout the story. Speaking of story, this is what is probably the most interesting to me. Rockstar is blurring the lines between main missions and side quests. Missions and side quests are contextual, in that it depends on the time of day and who you are with. Also, and I'll talk more about NPCs in a separate video, but Certain NPCs will react to Arthur depending on his choices in the world, and each interaction offers a different choice. They also mention that there is no break between story and gameplay, so players actually feel like they are living as Arthur. One of the quotes from one of the Rockstar developers: "We have done a great deal of work on this aspect, our goal being to limit the differences between the missions of the main campaign and the other quests. It is important that these be seen as both fun and varied activities, while remaining consistent from Arthur's point of view." They said everything must appear natural without any transition or lag to reinforce the sense of immersion and connection between each mission. For example, in the camp, a simple conversation with an NPC can result in a bank robbery or reveal important details about the story, background, and thus trigger a new mission that the player may want to do. Now, speaking of missions, one of the examples they gave how some of the missions will play out and what choices you will have. So throughout some missions, they say other characters can actually ask Arthur what direction he wants to complete the mission in. For instance, there was this one mission where they were attempting to rob a bank, and Arthur Morgan changes his clothes. He puts on a coat and a handkerchief over his face to avoid being recognized. Then he rides into the town, and Karen, one of the women that we see in the trailer, she is going to act as bait, and she actually asks Arthur which strategy to go with. Should she be a lost girl in distress or a shameless woman who has gotten too drunk? So that's definitely exciting, and the replay value of this game goes through the roof with stuff like that, because if you replay it, you can choose a different strategy and have a completely different experience. Going back to the gang camps and your home base, IGN's first look confirmed that you will actually have to move camps when the log gets too much. And if we take a look at the leaked map, you can see at the top, there's, I think they're red dots scattered across this map, and those are the locations of some of these different camps that you can travel to. So basically what it comes down to is that Rockstar are really trying to make this game as realistic as possible. Now, some of the technical information wrapping up this video: apparently the camera doesn't actually cut away during interactions. It just sort of blurs out a little bit of the background and gives you some options on the side of the screen. The whole 45-minute gameplay presentation apparently contained no cutscenes, and the people that were playing were in control all the time, yet it did feel very cinematic and narrative driven. So maybe they're going the no cutscene route like a few other recent titles have come out. There was no first person shown. That doesn't mean there's not going to be a first person option, but there wasn't any first person shown, and there was a circular HUD map, although you can decide to remove every single piece of the HUD if you want to truly get immersed into the game. But that was everything we know at the moment about the story and the missions and the characters, or some of the characters. But like I said at the beginning, I will be going over a ton of information about Red Dead Redemption 2. We have some gang details, some gun details. I could make a video if you guys want on breaking down each character now that we know their names. Obviously the hunting and the horse details, like there's a ton of stuff. The immersive details are honestly what got me. Like some of the stuff that Rockstar are doing is just incredible. One thing, and I'll go more in depth explaining exactly how it works, but the thing that caught me the most was the fact that pretty much everything in this world you can steal from. They said like little cabinets there's stuff in, pockets, little pockets inside people's clothing that you can steal from. Stuff like that is, I think, what's gonna make this game stand out even more than it already is. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more awesome Red Dead Redemption 2 content. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about the story and the mission stuff so far, now that we got some information. But as always, I will see you guys in the next one.